The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. They were huge, each one bigger than any city on the planet. Their dark metal surfaces reflected the sunlight in strange ways. People around the world stopped what they were doing and looked up. Fear spread quickly, but so did something else. Curiosity. Stood at the window of the United Nations building in New York. He was the Secretary General of Earth's unified government. At 63 years old, he had dealt with many crises, but nothing like this. Behind him, his advisors argued loudly. Everyone had an opinion about what to do next. "They're sending a message," said, walking into the room. She was the director of Earth's Strategic Defense Initiative. Her black uniform was crisp and clean. Her face showed no emotion but knew her well. She was calculating possibilities, running through scenarios in her mind. The message came through on all channels at once. Every television, every radio, every computer screen showed the same thing. An alien face appeared. It had smooth blue skin and 4 golden eyes arranged in a square pattern. Its mouth moved, and somehow the words came out in perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, and every other language spoken on Earth. "I am ambassador of the Empire, speaking for the Galactic Federation. We come with an offer of cooperation." Listened carefully. He had learned long ago that the word offer could mean many different things. Continued speaking. "Your species is young. You have barely left your home planet. You know nothing of the dangers that exist in the galaxy. We have protected this region of space for thousands of years. Now, it is time for you to join the galactic community." The ambassador paused. His 4 eyes seemed to look directly at everyone watching. "We offer you protection, technology, and membership in the Federation. In return, you will provide resources to support the common good. 40% of your planet's output will go to the Federation. Your military forces will operate under our guidance. Your technological development will follow our approved paths. This is how all civilized species contribute." The chief science advisor made a small sound beside. She was a brilliant quantum physicist. She understood immediately what approved paths meant. It meant limits. It meant control. "You have 1 week to accept," said. "We are patient. We understand this is new to you, but understand also that this offer is generous. Others who refused found that life outside the Federation is difficult, very difficult." The screens went black. The room erupted in noise. Ministers and generals and scientists all talked at once. Some said they should accept. The aliens were clearly more advanced. Their ships were enormous. How could Earth fight such power? Others argued for time. They needed to learn more to understand what joining really meant. The Admiral of the Pacific Fleet slammed his hand on the table. "It's a trap. 40% of our resources, military oversight. They want to control us. They want to enslave us," said quietly, but her quiet voice cut through the noise. Everyone stopped talking. "I've been analyzing their technology from the scans our satellites took. Their ships are advanced, yes, but not as advanced as they want us to think. Some of their systems are actually outdated, very outdated." Turn to look at her. Explain. "Their power generation is fusion-based, but it's an old design, at least 500 years old by my estimate. Their weapons are particle beams, effective but limited range. Their ships are big, but they move slowly. They're relying on intimidation more than actual superiority." Nodded slowly, "which means they've stopped innovating, they've stopped pushing forward." "Exactly," said. "A civilization that truly advanced wouldn't need to threaten. They wouldn't need to demand tribute. They would trade, cooperate as equals." Walked to the window again. Outside, he could see one of the alien ships hovering over the city. It cast a massive shadow. He thought about his children, his. He thought about every human who had ever dreamed of reaching the stars. "Call an emergency session," he said. "Full assembly, every nation representative." The next 3 days were intense. Behind closed doors, met with leaders from every country on Earth. He met with and her military commanders. He met with and her scientists. And he met with some people whose names never appeared in any official record. People who worked in the shadows in places that didn't officially exist. One of those people was the intelligence director. He showed files that changed everything. Files that proved Earth had known about aliens for 80 years. Files that showed the preparations humanity had made in secret. "We've been ready for this day," said simply. On the seventh day, the alien ships sent another message. They wanted humanity's answer. The United Nations General Assembly Hall was completely full. Every seat was taken. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat waiting. The alien ambassador appeared on the main screen, his 4 eyes gleaming with confidence. "Have you reached a decision?" asked. His tone suggested he already knew the answer. In his experience, young species always accepted. They were always afraid. Stood up slowly. He walked to the podium. The entire world was watching. Every human alive was waiting to hear what he would say. He looked directly at the screen, directly at those 4 golden eyes. "Ambassador, we have considered your offer carefully. We understand what you are asking. 40% of our resources, control of our military, control of our technological development. You call this cooperation. You call this protection." Nodded, satisfied. He prepared to give the standard welcome speech. "Our answer," said calmly, "is no." The silence was absolute. His 4 eyes widened. His mouth opened, then closed. He clearly had not expected this. "You refuse," he finally said. "We refuse," confirmed. "Earth will not join the Galactic Federation under these terms. We will not give up our freedom. We will not surrender our right to determine our own future." His face changed. The friendly mask disappeared. Now his expression was cold, hard. "You do not understand what you are doing. You are one small planet. We are a federation of hundreds of worlds. We have conquered 47 species. We have 10,000 warships. You have nothing." Smiled slightly. It was not a friendly smile. "We have ourselves, that is enough." "You have 6 months," said, his voice like ice. 6 of your Earth months to reconsider. After that, we will return, and we will implement compliance measures. Your defiance will end. It always does." The screens went black again. In the assembly hall, someone started clapping, then another person, then another. Within seconds, the entire hall was filled with applause, not because they weren't afraid. They were terrified, but they were also proud. Found after the session ended. "You know what comes next," she said. "I know," replied, "war." "Are we ready?" Looked at her steadily. "We've been ready for 80 years. Now it's time to show them why humanity doesn't kneel." Outside, the alien ships slowly departed from Earth's orbit. They left behind satellites to watch the planet. The Federation wanted to see humanity panic, wanted to see them prepare their inadequate defenses, wanted to watch them realize their mistake. They had no idea what was really coming. The alien satellites watched Earth carefully. They recorded everything: ship movements, power consumption, communications traffic. The data flowed back to the Federation analysts who studied it with growing confusion. The humans weren't panicking. They should be panicking. Instead, Earth seemed almost calm. Yes, there was increased military activity. Yes, factories were working around the clock. But it wasn't the desperate chaos the Federation expected. It was organized, purposeful, almost as if humanity had been preparing for this long before the Federation arrived. That couldn't be right, though. The Federation's records showed that Earth had only detected their first alien signal 80 years ago. That wasn't enough time to build a real defense, was it? 3 weeks after the Federation's departure, stood in a military transport heading away from Earth. The ship was small, designed to look like a simple cargo vessel. Nothing special, nothing worth watching too closely. "How long until we arrive?" she asked the pilot. 6 hours to the cloud. the pilot replied. Then another 2 hours to Facility Horizon. Had been to Horizon only once before, 5 years ago. The facility was so far from Earth that light from the sun was barely visible. It was cold and dark and empty out here, the perfect place to hide something. Sitting beside her was the head of the Cloud Mining Collective. He was a large man with rough hands and a quiet way of speaking. He had spent 30 years of his life in the outer solar system. Most people on Earth didn't even know places like the Cloud were inhabited. "How many ships are ready?" asked him. Smiled slightly, "All of them." The transport dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Ahead saw what looked like a small asteroid. The ship approached it carefully. Then a door opened in the asteroid's surface. It wasn't a rock at all. It was metal disguised to look like stone. Inside was a cavern so enormous that caught her breath despite having seen it before. The cavern stretched for hundreds of kilometers in every direction, and it was filled with ships. Thousands of ships. They hung in organized rows, silent and dark. Each one was sleek and deadly looking. Their hulls were made of materials that absorbed sensor waves instead of reflecting them. They were invisible to normal detection. "Welcome back to Horizon," said. "The Federation thinks we have maybe 200 defense ships around Earth, patrol boats with fusion drives and missile pods. They think that's all we have." He gestured at the massive fleet surrounding them. "They have no idea about these. 50,000 warships, all equipped with quantum drives, all carrying weapons the Federation hasn't seen in 500 years. Walked to the observation window. She had helped plan this fleet, but seeing it never got old. Each ship represented years of work, billions of credits in resources, and the dedication of thousands of people who believed Earth needed to be ready. "How did we do it?" asked quietly. "How did we build all this without them noticing?" A new voice answered her. "Because we're better at keeping secrets than they are at finding them." Turned to see the intelligence director. He looked tired. He always looked tired. Running Earth spy networks was not an easy job. "The Federation thinks they're watching us," continued. "They have satellites around Earth. They have agents in some of our cities. They monitor our communications. But they're watching what we want them to watch." He pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth's public shipyards, the ones building the small defense vessels. "These are real ships. We're really building them, but they're not our main force. They're the distraction." The display shifted to show the Cloud. "Out here, we've been working for 80 years. Ever since we first picked up the Federation's communications and realized we weren't alone. Ever since we decoded their language and learned what kind of galaxy we lived in." His voice turned cold. "We learned that the Federation conquers species. They enslave them. They steal their technology and their resources. 47 species have fallen to them. We decided we would not be the 48th. Nodded. She had read the reports. The Federation wasn't evil exactly. They didn't torture or commit genocide, but they took freedom away. They made other species serve them, and they had done it for so long that they believed it was the natural order of things." "Show her the Ghost Fleet," said. Smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. He changed the display again. Now it showed a different section of the facility. These ships were smaller than the main warships. They were faster, more agile, and they were completely invisible to sensors. "The Federation banned artificial intelligence 300 years ago," explained. "They had a rebellion. Their AI systems tried to take over. They crushed the rebellion and banned all true AI from then on. Every species in the Federation has to follow that rule." "We didn't follow it," said. "No, we didn't," agreed. "We developed AI carefully, as partners rather than servants. Our AI systems help us think faster, react quicker, coordinate better. The Ghost Fleet is controlled by AI networks that can process battle information 100 times faster than any living mind." He zoomed in on one of the small ships. Each one of these can outmaneuver anything the Federation has, and they work together perfectly. When the Federation comes, they're going to face a level of coordination they can't match. Sara, the lead engineer, joined them at the window. She was young, only 35, but she was brilliant. She had designed many of the systems that made the Ghost fleet possible. "We reverse-engineered technology from a crashed alien ship," Sora said. "It wasn't a Federation ship. It was from some other species, one we've never identified. It crashed on Earth in 2165. The technology inside was incredibly advanced. We spent decades figuring out how it worked." She pointed at the ships. "That's how we developed quantum slipstream drives. The Federation still uses warp technology. It's fast, but quantum slipstream is faster, much faster. Our ships can move through space in ways that will seem impossible to them." Listened to all of this and felt something she hadn't felt in months: hope. "When do we tell the Federation about all this?" she asked. Laughed. It was a deep, rough sound. "We don't tell them, we show them. When they come with their invasion fleet expecting an easy victory, we'll let them see our full strength, and it will be too late for them to run." The next few weeks passed quickly. The Federation's deadline was approaching. Their satellites continued to watch Earth. They saw the small defense fleet growing, 200 ships, then 300. The humans were trying, the Federation analysts thought. It was almost admirable, but it wouldn't be enough. What the satellites didn't see were the 50,000 ships hiding in the outer dark. They didn't see the weapons being loaded, the crews being trained, the battle plans being finalized. The chief science advisor worked with Sara on the final preparations. They tested new weapons, improved the ship's shields, made sure every system was perfect. "The Federation has been in power for 1,000 years, said one day. "They've conquered dozens of worlds. They think they know everything. That's their weakness." "What is?" Sora asked. "Pride," answered. "They've stopped learning, they've stopped questioning. They use the same tactics they used 500 years ago because those tactics always worked before. But we studied them. We learned their patterns. We know exactly how they'll attack." "And we'll be ready," Sora said. "More than ready," replied. "We'll teach them something they've forgotten, that the most dangerous enemy is the one who has nothing to lose and everything to fight for." The deadline approached: 4 months, 3 months, 2 months. On Earth, people tried to live normal lives, but everyone knew war was coming. In the dark reaches of the cloud, 50,000 warships waited in silence. Their crews were ready. Their weapons were charged. Their AI systems ran constant simulations, preparing for every possibility. Humanity had rejected the Federation's offer. Soon, the Federation would learn that this rejection had consequences, just not the consequences they expected. The Federation fleet arrived early. 3 months before the deadline, 2,000 warships dropped out of warp space near Saturn. It was a classic Federation tactic: attack before the enemy expects it, catch them unprepared. Admiral of the Imperial Navy stood on the bridge of his flagship, the pride of Dominion. He was pleased with himself. This would be his 48th conquest, another successful campaign to add to his record. "Begin the transmission," he ordered. His face appeared on every screen across Earth. It was the same speech he had given 47 times before. He barely had to think about the words anymore. "People of Earth, your time has ended. You chose defiance. Now you will learn the price of that choice. Surrender immediately and we will be merciful. Resist and you will be crushed. You have 1 hour to respond." On Earth, in the command center deep beneath Geneva, watched the transmission with cold eyes. Around her, officers monitored hundreds of displays showing the Federation fleet's position. "They came early," said. He commanded Earth's visible defense fleet. "They think they're being clever." "Let them think that," replied. "Take your fleet up, engage them." Nodded, he knew his role. His 300 ships would face the Federation fleet in what looked like a desperate last stand. It wouldn't look like much of a fight. The Federation would think they were winning easily. They would be wrong. In orbit around Earth, ships powered up their engines. They were good ships, well-designed with solid weapons and strong shields, but they used fusion drives and conventional technology. To the Federation, they looked primitive. The two fleets met between Earth and Mars. The Federation ships advanced in their traditional formation, a wall of firepower meant to overwhelm any defense. They opened fire first. Bright beams of energy lanced across space. 3 human ships exploded, then 5 more, then 10. On the Pride of Dominion smiled. As expected, their shields are weak, their ships are fragile, this will be over quickly. But then something strange happened. The human ships started firing back. Their weapons hit harder than they should. Federation shields flickered and failed under the assault. Ships that should have brushed off the attacks were taking real damage. "Sir," an officer said nervously, "their weapons are more powerful than our scans indicated." Frowned, "It doesn't matter. We still outnumber them 6-1. Continue the assault." The battle raged for 2 hours. More human ships died, but so did Federation vessels. 78 Federation ships were destroyed. That was far more than had expected to lose against a primitive species. "Something is wrong," muttered, but he couldn't figure out what. The human ships were fighting hard, but they were still losing. His fleet continued to push forward, getting closer to Earth. That's when everything changed. In the cloud, Jinnah received the signal. She was the commander of the Ghost Fleet. She had been waiting for this moment for 5 years. "All ships," she said calmly, "attack pattern Omega, show them what we really are." Across the solar system, 50,000 ships became visible. They had been there all along, hidden by stealth technology the Federation didn't know existed. Now they appeared on every Federation sensor at once. Stared at his tactical display in horror. One moment, he was winning. The next, his screens showed an impossible number of enemy ships surrounding his fleet from every direction. "This can't be real," he whispered. "It's a trick, a sensor error." "Sir, they're real," his sensor officer shouted. "They're all real. I'm reading 50,000 ships. How is that possible?" The human fleet moved. They used quantum slipstream drives, technology the Federation thought was theoretical. They crossed distances in seconds that should have taken minutes. They appeared behind Federation ships, beside them, above and below them. And they opened fire. The Ghost Fleet's weapons were based on reverse-engineered alien technology combined with human innovation. They cut through Federation shields like they weren't there. Ship after ship exploded under the assault. The tactical operations officer coordinated the attack from Earth's command center. She watched hundreds of displays at once, her mind enhanced by AI systems that helped her process information at inhuman speed. "Target the command ships first," she ordered. "Break their formation, make them panic." The AI networks controlling the Ghost Fleet responded instantly. Every ship knew where every other ship was. They moved together like a single organism, anticipating each other's actions perfectly. Led a squadron of fighter craft, small and incredibly fast. They darted through the Federation lines, targeting weapons and shield generators. His pilots were the best Earth had, but they were also linked to AI systems that made them even better. "Blue Squadron, focus on that carrier," called. "Take out its launch bays." His fighters swarmed the massive Federation carrier. Their weapons were small but precise. They hit weak points, exploiting flaws in the ship's design that human intelligence had identified years ago. The carrier's shields failed. Internal explosions tore through its hull. It split in half, debris spinning away into space. Couldn't believe what he was seeing. His fleet was being destroyed. In 6 hours of fighting, he had lost 1,000 ships. 1,000, against a species that was supposed to be primitive. "All ships retreat," he finally ordered. His pride was shattered. His confidence was gone. He just wanted to survive. But the human fleet didn't pursue. They let the remaining Federation ships limp away toward their staging ground near Jupiter. Couldn't understand it. The humans had won. They could destroy his entire fleet if they wanted. Why were they letting him go? Could have explained it to him, but she didn't. She simply watched the Federation retreat and nodded in satisfaction. "Let them go," she said. "Let them tell their masters what happened here. Let the whole Federation know that Earth is not defenseless." The battle was over. Space around Earth was filled with debris from destroyed ships. Most of it was Federation vessels. The human losses were relatively light. 400 ships destroyed out of 50,000. The Federation had lost half its invasion force. Sat on his damaged bridge and stared at the communication screen. He needed to call home. He needed to tell the Federation Council what had happened. But how could he explain this? How could he tell them that the humans had technology they shouldn't possess? That they had AI networks the Federation had banned? That they had been preparing for 80 years without anyone knowing? Finally, opened a communication channel to the retreating Federation flagship. His face appeared on her screen. His 4 golden eyes were wide with shock and fear. "This is impossible," he said. His voice shook. "You were primitives. You had no quantum technology. You had no stealth capability. You had no—" Cut him off. Her voice was cold and hard. "You came to our world and demanded we kneel. Did you really think we were unprepared? Did you think we sat idle while you decided our fate? We've been watching you. We've been learning about you. We've been preparing for you since before you even knew we existed." She leaned forward. "You call yourselves a federation. You call yourselves civilized. But you're nothing but conquerors who take what you want and call it cooperation. You thought we would be easy prey. You were wrong." Said nothing. What could he say? "Go home," continued. "Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them that Earth is not joining your federation. Tell them that if they come back they will face the same result. We don't want war, but we will never surrender our freedom." The communication ended. Ordered his ships to begin the long journey back to Federation space. Behind them, Earth's fleet maintained watch, ensuring they truly left. In the command center, allowed herself a small smile. The first battle was over, but she knew this wasn't the end. The Federation would regroup. They would come back probably with a much larger force. But that was fine. Humanity had shown their strength. Now the real negotiations could begin. Negotiations between equals, not between master and slave. Approached her. His visible fleet had taken the heaviest losses, but he looked satisfied. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." "We did," agreed. "But stay alert. The Federation won't accept this easily. They'll try again." "Let them," replied. "Now they know what we're capable of. Now they know the price of attacking Earth." Around the solar system, the Ghost Fleet returned to its hidden stations. The ships disappeared from sensors once more, fading into the dark. To the Federation, they would seem like ghosts, ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. Earth had won its first battle for freedom, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. The news spread through the Federation like wildfire. Earth, the primitive planet that was supposed to be an easy conquest, had destroyed half an invasion fleet. The story seemed impossible, but the survivors told the same tale. Ships appearing from nowhere, weapons that cut through shields, technology that shouldn't exist. The Federation Council met in emergency session on their capital world, Prime. The council chamber was ancient, built 1,000 years ago when the Federation was young. 47 species sat in that chamber, all of them conquered and absorbed into the Federation over the centuries. They all owed their loyalty to the Empire, the founding species and ruling power. High called the meeting to order. He was old, even by standards. His 4 eyes were dimmed with age, but his mind was still sharp. He had overseen 20 successful conquests. The failure at Earth confused and worried him. "Admiral," he said coldly, "explain how you lost 1,000 ships to a species with no space fleet." Stood before the council. He looked broken. His military career was over, but that wasn't what hurt most. His understanding of the galaxy had been shattered. "They did have a fleet," he said quietly. 50,000 ships, hidden in their outer system. We never detected them until they attacked." The council chamber erupted in noise. 50,000 ships. Impossible. "How could they build that many ships?" demanded from the species. "Our intelligence said they barely had interstellar capability." "Our intelligence was wrong," admitted. "Or rather, the humans deceived us. They showed us what they wanted us to see. Old fusion drives, simple weapons, basic ships, but that was all a lie. Their real fleet uses technology we don't have, quantum drives, stealth systems, and artificial intelligence." Silence fell over the chamber. AI was forbidden. The Federation had banned it 300 years ago after the Great Rebellion. Every species knew the law. AI was too dangerous. "They're using AI," said slowly, "and it obeys them." "More than obeys," said. "They work together. The AI helps them think faster, coordinate better. Their battle networks process information 100 times faster than our command systems. We couldn't react quickly enough. They predicted our moves before we made them." On Earth, watched the Federation's internal communications. Its intelligence network had infiltrated their systems years ago. Earth knew everything the Federation discussed. It was another advantage the aliens didn't know about. "They're scared," said, reading the intercepted messages. "The Council is arguing about what to do. Some want to attack again with a bigger fleet. Others want to negotiate. And some," he paused, "some are asking questions they've never asked before." "What kind of questions?" asked. "Why are we conquered?" read from a message sent by a diplomat. "If Earth can fight the Federation and win, why can't we?" Felt a chill. This was what he had hoped for but also feared. The Federation was built on the idea that resistance was impossible, that the Empire was too strong to challenge. Earth had proven that wrong. Now the conquered species were wondering if they too could be free. "Revolution," said softly. "We might start a war across the entire galaxy." "We might," agreed. "Is that a problem?" "Thought about it. No, species deserve to be free. If our fight inspires others, then so be it." 3 weeks after the battle, the Federation sent a new delegation to Earth. Not warships this time. Diplomats. They came on small, unarmed vessels. They requested permission to land. Agreed to meet them in Geneva. The delegation was led by a named. Unlike the first ambassador, seemed thoughtful rather than arrogant. Secretary General said, speaking Earth's common language perfectly, "We come to understand. How did you accomplish this?" They sat in a conference room with large windows overlooking the mountains. On Earth's side were, and the Federation delegation included, and 3 scientists from different conquered species. "You want to know our secret," said. "It's simple. We never stopped learning, we never stopped questioning, we never stopped trying to improve." One of the Federation scientists, a named, leaned forward. "But your species is so young. You've only had for 200 years. How could you develop quantum drives in that time? It should be impossible." "Why?" challenged. "Because it took you 500 years. Because your empire says it can't be done." Hesitated. "The Council. They set guidelines for technological development to ensure safety, to maintain order." "To maintain control," corrected. "Tell me, when was the last time your people made a breakthrough discovery? When was the last time you invented something truly new?" Couldn't answer. He looked uncomfortable. Stood and walked to a display screen. She showed images of quantum computers, AI networks, and advanced propulsion systems. "We developed all of this in 80 years, not because we're smarter than you, but because we had a reason to. We were free to try and free to fail. We didn't have anyone telling us what we could or couldn't research. She looked at each Federation scientist. You built an empire on conquered technology. You took what others had created and used it for yourselves. But then you stopped creating. You made rules about what could be studied. You limited your own people to keep them obedient. And while you stagnated, we pushed forward. Spoke next. His rough voice carried a different kind of authority. I've spent 30 years in the outer solar system, building the ships you saw. We worked in secret in the dark, in the cold. Why? Because we knew you were out there. We knew what you did to other species, and we decided we would rather die than serve. The Federation offers protection, argued weakly. Membership has benefits. So does slavery, said sharply. If the master is kind, but it's still slavery, you take 40% of every world's production. You control their militaries. You limit their technology. You call it cooperation, but it's theft backed by force. Had no answer. He knew she was right. In his heart, he had always known. But the Federation was all he had ever known. Questioning it felt like questioning reality itself. We didn't want to fight you, said more gently. We just wanted to be free, free to make our own choices, free to succeed or fail on our own merits. Every species deserves that. Over the next week, met with the Federation scientists. She showed them Earth's research facilities. She explained how AI systems worked as partners rather than servants. She demonstrated quantum computers and their capabilities. The visiting scientists were stunned. Why are you showing us this? Asked. We're your enemies. Are you? Replied. Or are you victims of the same empire we fought against? Your people didn't choose to attack Earth. Your leaders did. I don't blame you for what your empire has done. Was quiet for a long time. Then he said, my species was conquered 600 years ago. I've read the old histories. Before the Federation came, we were explorers, scientists, artists. Now we're administrators and soldiers in someone else's empire. We forgot how to dream. Then remember, said simply, it's not too late. News of the Earth delegation leaked to other Federation species. Despite the Council's attempts to keep things quiet, information spread. The conquered worlds began to talk among themselves. Secret meetings were held. Messages were passed through hidden networks. If Earth could defy the Federation, could they? The first rebellion started on II. The workers in the resource extraction facilities stopped sending their quotas to the Federation. They kept the resources for themselves. The Federation sent ships to enforce compliance. The ships met unexpected resistance. They had weapons. Simple weapons, nothing like Earth's technology, but weapons nonetheless. They had been preparing in secret, inspired by Earth's example. The Federation managed to crush the rebellion, but it took 2 months and cost them 100 ships. That had never happened before. Conquered species didn't fight back. They had learned it was hopeless. Now they were learning something different. Within 3 months of Earth's victory, 5 more species had attempted rebellion. 2 were crushed. 3 succeeded in winning limited autonomy. The Federation was fracturing. Watched it all with mixed feelings. He was glad species were fighting for freedom, but he knew many would die in the struggle. War was never clean or easy. We started something we can't control, he said to one evening. Maybe that's good, replied. Maybe the galaxy needs chaos right now. The old order was built on conquest and oppression. If it takes fire to burn that away, then so be it. And when the fire spreads to innocent people, then we help them, said firmly. We protect those who need protection. We support those fighting for freedom. Earth didn't fight just for ourselves. We fought for the idea that every species deserves liberty. Nodded slowly. She was right. Earth had a responsibility now. They had proven that the Federation could be resisted. Now they had to help others who wanted to resist too. Begin Operation Lighthouse, ordered. Send envoys to every species requesting our help. Share our technology with those fighting for freedom. The Federation wanted us to join their empire. Instead, we're going to help tear it down. Smiled, it was a fierce smile. Now we're not just defending Earth, we're liberating the galaxy. 6 months after the battle at Earth, the galaxy looked very different. 23 species had declared independence from the Federation. Some had fought bloody wars for their freedom. Others had negotiated peaceful separations after the Federation realized it couldn't control them anymore. The thousand-year empire was crumbling. Stood in his office in Geneva, looking at a star map that showed the changed political landscape. Red markers showed former Federation territory. Blue markers showed independent worlds. Green markers showed species that had joined Earth's new alliance. There were a lot of green markers. "The delegation has arrived," said, entering the office. "They're asking about defense technology. The Federation still has loyalist forces near there." "Share the shield technology," said, "and send 3 Ghost Fleet squadrons to patrol their system. The Federation won't risk another confrontation with our ships." "That's the 5th species this month asking for protection," noted. "We're becoming exactly what we fought against, a military power that other species depend on." "No," said firmly. "The Federation forced others to join. We're offering help to those who ask for it. There's a difference." "Is there?" challenged. "We're making decisions that affect the entire galaxy. We're sharing technology which changes the balance of power. We're protecting weaker species which makes them dependent on us. How long before they have to do what we say, even if we don't force them?" Sighed, she was right to worry. Power corrupted, even when it started with good intentions. Then we need rules, clear principles that we follow and that others can hold us to. That conversation led to the Geneva Accords, a document that would reshape galactic politics. Worked with and representatives from 15 other species. They spent 3 months arguing, debating, and finally agreeing on fundamental principles. The accords were simple. Every species has the right to govern itself without outside interference. No species may conquer or enslave another. Technology and knowledge should be shared freely among equals. Military alliances must be voluntary and equal. Disputes should be settled through negotiation, not force. Any species may join or leave the alliance freely. "It sounds idealistic," said, reading the final draft. "The Federation will laugh at this." "Let them laugh," replied. "These principles are what we believe. If we abandon them, we become no different from the empire we fought." The document was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species in Federation territory and independent worlds received the message, spoke to an audience of trillions. For 1,000 years, the galaxy has been ruled by conquest. The strong took from the weak and called it order. Species lost their freedom and were told it was for their own good. Earth rejected that system. We fought for our right to be free. He paused, looking directly at the camera. "But we didn't fight just for ourselves. We fought for an idea. The idea that every species, no matter how small or young, deserves to choose its own future. Today, we offer that choice to everyone." The Geneva Accords create a new alliance. Not an empire, not a federation of the conquered, an alliance of the willing. Join us or don't. We will not force you. We will not punish you for refusing. But know this, any species that chooses freedom will have Earth's protection. Any species that wants to trade, share knowledge, and cooperate as equals is welcome. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within a week, 15 species formally requested to join the alliance. Within a month, it was 30. The new alliance was called the Free Worlds Cooperative. It wasn't a perfect name, but it represented what they were trying to build. The Federation Council met again on Prime, but this time they met not as conquerors but as a dying empire trying to survive. Half their member species had left. Their economy was collapsing. Their military was stretched thin trying to control what remained. Hai looked older than ever. His 4 eyes held a tired sadness. We built an empire, he said to the council. We thought we were creating order from chaos, protecting the weak from the dangers of space, but we were wrong. Some protested, but most stayed silent. They knew he was right. Earth showed us the truth, continued. We weren't protecting species. We were enslaving them. We took their freedom and called it protection. We stole their resources and called it cooperation. And we became so comfortable with our power that we stopped growing, stopped learning, stopped being worthy of that power. He stood slowly. I propose we dissolve the Federation Council. Let the remaining species choose for themselves whether to stay together or go their separate ways. Let us join Earth's alliance not as rulers but as equals. It's time to earn back the trust we've lost. The vote was close, but it passed. The Galactic Federation, the empire that had ruled for 1,000 years, officially ended. 1 year after the battle at Earth, the first Free Worlds Assembly met in orbit around a neutral world. Representatives from 43 species gathered to write a new charter. The station where they met was specially built for this purpose, designed to accommodate different environmental needs. Attended but did not lead the assembly. That honor went to a diplomat named, the same scientist who had visited Earth months before. He had become a leader of his people's independence movement. We gather not as conquerors and conquered, said, opening the assembly, but as equals. Each species brings its own knowledge, its own culture, its own dreams for the future. Together, we're stronger than any empire. The assembly worked for 3 months. There were arguments. Some species didn't trust each other. Old grievances from the Federation years needed to be addressed, but slowly they built something new. The charter they created was based on the Geneva Accords, but expanded with input from dozens of species. It established a council where every member had equal voice regardless of size or power. It created a defense force for mutual protection, but required unanimous consent for military action. It set up systems for sharing technology and resolving disputes peacefully. It won't be perfect, told during a break. There will be conflicts, species will disagree. That's fine, said. Perfection isn't the goal, freedom is. And freedom includes the right to disagree, to argue, to sometimes fail. That's what the Federation never understood. On Earth, people watched the assembly with pride but also relief. The threat of conquest was over. The Federation was gone. Now the real work of building a peaceful galaxy could begin. Had a different assignment now. She was no longer preparing for war. Instead, she led the Alliance Defense Force, a military coalition dedicated to protecting member worlds from external threats. The Ghost Fleet became the core of this force, but other species contributed ships and personnel. Strange, isn't it? Said to her one day. They were inspecting a mixed fleet of human and ships training together. A year ago, we were preparing to fight alone. Now we're training others to fight with us. The galaxy is changing, said. We started it, but it's bigger than us now. That's good. It means we didn't just replace one empire with another. Continued her work with the Alliance Scientific Consortium. Scientists from 43 species worked together, sharing knowledge freely. The technological progress was astounding. Combining human innovation with alien expertise led to breakthroughs no single species could have achieved alone. This is what we could have had all along, a scientist told. He had left the old Federation to join the cooperative. If we had worked together as equals instead of as masters and servants, we wasted 1,000 years. Then let's not waste any more, replied with a smile. 2 years after the battle, prepared to retire. He was 65 now and tired. He had achieved what he set out to do. Earth was free. The galaxy was changing for the better. It was time for younger leaders to take over. His final act as Secretary General was to address the Third Free Worlds Assembly. Species from across the galaxy watched. When the Federation came to Earth, they expected us to kneel, he said. They offered us slavery with polite words. We refused. Not because we wanted war, but because freedom is worth fighting for. We won that fight, but winning was just the beginning. The hard part was what came after, building something better than what we tore down, creating a system where species cooperate by choice, not by force, protecting the weak without controlling them, staying true to our principles even when it's difficult. He smiled. I believe we're succeeding. I believe the galaxy is better now than it was 2 years ago, but this work is never finished. Every generation must choose freedom again, must work to protect it, to expand it, to make it real for everyone. I'm retiring today, but I'm not worried. I've seen what this alliance can do. I've seen species that were enemies become friends. I've seen the weak become strong. I've seen hope replace fear. The future is in good hands. The assembly gave him a standing ovation that lasted 10 minutes. Representatives from 43 species, aliens of every shape and size, honored the human who had started a revolution. After the ceremony, met privately with, and others who had fought beside him. "What will you do now?" asked. "Go home," said simply. "See maybe write a book, live a quiet life for once." "You've earned it," said. "You changed the galaxy." "We changed it," corrected. "All of us together, that's the point. No one person, no one species is responsible. We did this by working together." They said their goodbyes. These people had become more than colleagues. They were friends who had shared something extraordinary. Returned to Earth and retired to a small house near the ocean. He watched the stars at night, knowing that among them were 43 free species building something new together. Sometimes young people visited him. Students, diplomats, soldiers. They wanted to know what it had been like, those early days when Earth stood alone against an empire. He always told them the same thing. We were afraid. We could have lost everything. But we knew that some things are worth risking everything for. Freedom is one of them. Never forget that. Never take it for granted. And never let anyone take it from you. The galaxy continued to change. New species joined the cooperative. Old enemies became partners. Technology advanced rapidly now that information flowed freely. The arts flourished as different cultures shared their traditions. Trade brought prosperity to worlds that had been poor under Federation rule. It wasn't perfect. There were still conflicts. Some species left the cooperative, preferring isolation. Pirates and raiders threatened trade routes. Disputes over territory and resources required careful negotiation. But it was better, fundamentally deeply better. Species were free. They could choose their own paths. They could dream their own dreams. And it all started because one planet, when offered slavery, said no. 5 years after the battle, a new species was discovered at the edge of known space. They were young, barely beginning to explore their own solar system. The cooperative debated how to approach them. We should wait, some said. Let them develop naturally. We should make contact, others argued. Guide them, help them avoid the mistakes we made. In the end, they decided to follow Earth's example. They sent a simple message. No threats, no demands, just an invitation. We are the free world's cooperative. We're an alliance of species who believe in freedom and cooperation. We would like to meet you, to share knowledge, to become friends. But the choice is yours. Contact us if you wish. We'll be here. The young species was cautious at first, but eventually they responded. They visited. They learned. And when they were ready, they joined. The circle continued to grow. And somewhere on Earth, an old man sat by the ocean and smiled. He had lived to see his dream become reality. A galaxy where species didn't conquer each other, where the strong protected the weak, where everyone was free to reach for the stars. It wasn't humanity's galaxy. It wasn't any one species' galaxy. It belonged to all of them, to build together, to share together, to dream together. And that was exactly as it should be.